Okay, like you said in the film, I agree. You should do 20 different sketches of your spoon. So you get your spoon. Now I do want to a couple things. First of all, I'm looking from an angle like this. Maybe I should show it like that. So you see that nice little curve right there? I try to draw that in there, but when you're looking from above down, sometimes it's hard to see that, and it looks like a straight line. But I'm actually thinking about how does that spoon curve up like this, and I get that arch in it like this. Now, let me start with the don'ts. Don't do lollipops. Don't do circles like that, and just kind of like it is not a lollipop, okay? It's a spoon, right? It's also not an asteroid, so I don't want to see like lots of scribbles and lots of scribbles like that. I want you to take your time, but I want you to be fast. So there's a kind of a happy medium here, and I would say, 2 or 3. I'm really trying to get used to my hand doing like that, keeping it light, keeping it from my shoulder, and then I'm kind of going and thinking, and I'm measuring it, because today's lesson is about proportions. Did I get the proportions right? There's a wrong. If you're doing this, and this one looks different from that one, like these proportions are off, that's more like my long spoon, wherever that is. Yeah, that's more like this proportions. You don't want to do that. You want to try to do this proportions. So I just wanted to get in the habit of what is 1/3, and I want you to fill up, the paper. Frankly, I'm not gonna grade this. I don't want you to skip it, but I do want you to try this out. But just get the feel for it, because when you go to do your final, it'll be a lot better. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to measure. Is that 1/3? 3. Like that. I'm getting used to that. I'm trying to get that movement here. This is too much of an arch here. The more the arch is in the front. So the next time I'm going to try to improve that. I'm trying to learn from each one. This is not about doing 20 reps and being finished and going, look, I did it. But I'm filling up maybe 1 or 2 papers like this. And after you're done trying to get those sketches done, I want you're going to do a final drawing. And this is the one that I want you to turn in on the Google Sheets here. And basically, you're going to pick a spoon. Now, I would pick a spoon with some character to it. This spoon has this little thing right here. This one has some nice flowers to it. This one has a lot of flowers to it. And I know some kids are going to look at their drawers and say, I don't want to do that spoon. Maybe I'll do a simple spoon like this. You could even do a plastic spoon. I don't really care. But if you can, even this spoon looks pretty simple. It's got a line down the middle and kind of a nice loop there, and a little tiny, I don't know if you can see that, a little tiny, can I focus that? Teardrop right at the end. I can't seem to, here, let's do that. See that little teardrop right there? That's interesting. So let's get focused back down here. Now, I'm going to actually maybe do, I'll do this flower one, okay? That's kind of what I grew up with, believe it or not. So first thing I want to do, this one, the sketches I wanted you to do with a newsprint, the cheap paper. I don't know if I actually said that because I put a couple of newsprints in there for you to sketch with. This one, for the final pencil one, definitely do on a white piece of paper, okay? And I want you to do the entire piece of paper. If we were in the classroom, I have these huge sheets of paper that I make kids do it with, but we can't afford that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly draw my spoon, and the first thing I'm going to do is get a proportions. This is a 3-to-1 proportions. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to 1, 2, 3. That looks about right. So once I get that sketch down, I want to start putting some details in here. So this is not a circle. It is actually thinner here than it is out here. It's a little, all spoons are a little bigger at the ends than they are right there. I'm going to try to get that. Also, the other thing that all spoons have in common is that it gets wider right there. Because if it came straight up like the whole, lollipop thing, where it's a straight stick coming in there. There's a little edge like that. It's not like that. It's not like a lollipop. It's like a spoon. So I'm going to actually try to get that curve right. It's fairly thin on most pencils here, or on most spoons here. I'm doing the wrong spoon. I'm going to leave that on the table and just look at it. And so it's going up like this, and then it gets a little bit bigger, like that, coming down. It gets a little bit bigger, like this, coming down like that. Now I'm getting the shape of it right. Remember, I'm doing it as an angle like this, so that's why it kind of goes up right there for me. Then I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to look at some of the shadows. You can see some of the darks in there and some of the highlights from the lights in my room. I want you to go ahead and shade it. I notice there's a shadow right here, and the shadow is on a flat piece of paper, so it is actually flat, like this. And I'm going to lightly shade that in, and when I get closer to the end of the spoon, it's darker. Okay, and you can even take your finger or roll up a piece of paper to get that shaded in right there. It's a great way to get your fingers dirty. And I love getting messy in the art room. This is one of my ways of doing that. I'm going to curve that around like that. It looks a little darker right here on what I'm looking at. There is an edge to this, like right here. I'm going to try to get that edge right. I'm going to try to get the shadow in here. This is where I'm really taking my time and having a lot of fun with the details. Okay, so it's a little bit darker there. There's a, there's a kind of a white light right there. The rest is a little bit darker, so I might, shade that in. This is a great time to take your pencil and your eraser and get little highlights on there if you need to. It looks a little bit darker right here, and then it lightens up. I've got this leaf right here. I see a leaf there. I see a leaf there. I'm going to try to get those guys in there. There are two little flowers, one right there. And I'm even like sketching big first and then putting the petals in. And there's a leaf here, kind of like I learned. And then lots of little dots. I could take some time and put some dots in there and have a lot of fun with that. I'm not going to bore you with too much of this drawing. But basically, once I get the proportions right, then when I put those patterns in there, this starts to look more and more like my spoon. So spend 10 or 15 minutes like that today. When you're done, find that Google Slides to photograph that on and send me a slide of your finished drawing. And I think that's it for the sketching part of art.